Hello again to this video clip series, My Journey to God in a Very Secularized World. We've been in the last several video clips, I've been reading some of the correspondence between myself, email, and the head of the Married Militant Priests in my zone here in Italy, in Umbria, because he was not very happy that I printed some of my articles and gave it to people, the Senecals, to help them open their eyes to the great dangers. He said in the last email, he says he agrees with what I write, but he forbids me to distribute them because he's so afraid that from the Vatican they might close the movement. And so, anyway, so now after he had, just the last email I had finished what he had written to me, saying that I agree with you, but you must not offer anything more printed to people at the Senecals. So then in January 10th, 2017, I wrote him another email. Dear Don Roberto, you did not comment on what I wrote in my email. You do not invite me to dialogue with you to resolve the more important issues together. So speak with the priests with whom you trust, with whom you are willing to dialogue, with the priests who are in agreement with you, with the priests who are at your level of prudence, of wisdom and intelligence. I realize that at least years ago, few priests received a human formation in the seminary which facilitated resolving the more important problems together, and thus one leans on the structure of obedience without dialogue. In short, your email to me was shut up and obey. Eat and shut up, as the fascists would say. Even though Our Lady said in the Blue Book, and then I offer this message, let there be no leader among you. I myself will be your leader. You must all be brothers, loving, understanding, and helping each other. That was a message of Our Lady, July 16, 1973. And then another message, therefore, there should be no leader among you. You are all brothers, united in love that must ever grow more and more. That was a message, August 22, 1976. Then I continue. But without a certain amount of human maturity, it is very difficult to live these words of Our Lady. That's what I wrote. Then I continue. Pope John Paul II spoke and wrote often about the importance of dialogue among Christians, and especially among priests, to seek the truth and solutions together. One finds very often in the Blue Book Our Lady's insistence to become small or little, which also means to seek the truth and solutions outside of our own heads. I wrote about this difficult challenge to dialogue in my article, The Great Responsibility of Religious Leaders. And then I continue in my email. I am not interested in having a title. I'm interested in only heaven. But it is interesting to me that even though I have been attending the Senecals of Umbria for more than 6 years, Don Mario tried to find any other priest but Don Joe to take his place. Maria Tiberini, who has been part of the movement for many years, said to me that she did not know who Don Roberto was. I mean, even though Our Lady indicated many times in the Blue Book that the majority of the few priests who remain faithful to the truth in this period of the Great Apostasy will have to sacrifice themselves as Jesus' priests did 2,000 years ago on the cross. Don Mario found a seer who says that the good priests will be spared in this period of the Great Tribulation. He thinks they won't have to suffer, even though Our Lady in the Blue Book says they will have to suffer. He doesn't want to suffer. Don Mario said to a few people that Don Joe says the truth, but he says the truth in too strong of a way. I do not believe that Jesus and St. Peter and St. Paul and St. Stephen and many prophets of the Old Testament, and perhaps in the future, Cardinal Raymond Burke and others, would have been killed if they had your prudence and wisdom. How many priests, bishops, and politicians try to be politically correct and end up serving the agenda of the Freemasons? In your homilies and your meditations during the Cenicals, I do not recall when you cited from the Blue Book, nor from the words of Joseph Gobi. What movement are you a part of? As I wrote in my email, a fundamental job of a pastor is to protect the sheep from the very destructive and hidden lies and strategies of the wolf today. Certainly, there is lacking today good homilies and meditations as were given years ago, but due to less prayer than ever before, and more sin and indifference than ever before, we have given more power than ever before to the wolf, Satan, to deceive and offer new and poisonous lies to the sheep today. And then I write this also. Confusion does great harm to the church and to souls. And then I quoted Cardinal Burke, who wrote, "We need to give witness to what the church has already taught and practiced, and that way we remain serene. We don't give way to confusion and even division, as it can often happen in the church otherwise." And you can find on the LifeSite News exactly that article, and also in Italian. Then I offered here, St. Thomas writes, "Being in approximate danger to the faith, the prelates must be reproved even publicly by those who are their subjects. And so St. Paul, who was subject to St. Peter, reproved him publicly by reason of an imminent danger of scandal in matters of faith." And St. Augustine comments, "The same St. Peter gave an example to those who govern, so that they, drifting away sometimes from the right path, do not refuse and undo a correction coming also from their subjects." Referring again to the public criticism of St. Paul to St. Peter, St. Paul writes, "The admonition was just and useful, and his motive was not of small account. There was involved facts of a danger for the preservation of the evangelical faith. The method of the admonition was suitable because it was public and manifest. Thus St. Paul writes, I spoke to Cephas, that is, to Peter, before all, because the simulation given by St. Peter gave rise to a danger for all. This is the spirit, therefore, in which the critics of the doctrines and of the gestures which follow will be taken up with the due piety of a son towards his own spiritual father, the visible head of the Holy Church." This is continuing with St. Thomas Aquinas. "The declarations or gestures treated will regard only three determining points. 1. Ecumenism. 2. Eroticism. And 3. Adultery." After the article is, "One cannot remain silent." Or that last paragraph actually was from my article, not St. Thomas. But I continued the discussion there. And you can find also, I put an article here, the Pope, "Malicious resistance to my reforms that take refuge in traditions is from the devil. Those who remain faithful to the truth because it's tradition is from the devil." That's what Pope Francis said way back in 2016. And then, in other words, here behold how Pope Francis invites dialogue so as to seek the truth from God, not from man together. He doesn't receive any dialogue. The same St. Peter gave an example to those who govern. The four cardinals only asked for clarity in the teaching of the church for the good of souls, but Pope Francis refused to answer or dialogue with them. And another article you can find on the internet with the title, "Climate of Fear in Vatican is Very Real." and then I'll end this video clip here. May God bless you and Mary guide you.